searching. I'm looking for someone to give about me. I'm looking, I'm searching. I'm looking, I'm searching. I'm looking for someone to give about you. I'm looking, I'm searching. I'm looking, I'm searching. I'm looking for someone to give about me. I'm looking, I'm searching. I'm looking, I'm searching. I'm looking for someone to give about you.
It's from the love that's in me. I love the love. I am so grateful for the enemy, but yet they still attack me with the envy. They're trying to clog my drain, leave me empty. They say I'm honored every week. I say humbled and grateful not to hear weak. Let the church speak. I'm on the wall, but they just
What's happening? Grand Rising. Welcome to the Chicago Community Activism Podcast. I'm your host, Sister Afrika, and I'm so excited. Special shout out this morning to the visionary behind the show, Mr. Brian Gorman, also known as Brother BG. And I want to say thank you to Ron Villan, our producer, engineer in the building, running the boards. This show is done on Saturday, specifically and intentionally, so that we can get out in the community and get busy doing work. If you notice, every Saturday I'm dressed down because I can't wear heels and move around as much, But we're so excited. And today is the first day of Black History Month.
That's right.
Started out as Black History Week. And I was told it was done in February because that is the birth month of so many of our greats. And so I'm repping the red, black, and green as I always do, the nails, everything, because these are the colors that I embrace that were given to us by none other than Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The red, the black, the green all have significance. Please look it up if you don't know these colors and what they mean in terms of our freedom and liberation and equality. This show is dedicated to all those community concerned people, those that sacrifice and give of their time, their energy, that engage others in the community, be it 2 hours a year or 2 hours a day. I remember Brother Philip Jackson from the Black Star Project would always say, if you gave 2 hours a year to mentor somebody's child, that will make the world a lot better, a lot easier for everybody. So shout out to Brother Phil on this day, Black History Month. Community good news. So much good is happening all over Chicago. If you have some good news, won't you share it with us on our Chicago Community Activism page on Facebook? We also have a YouTube channel. Please tap in with us. If you would like to be a guest, please tap in with us. Let us know what it is you bring to the community, what you bring to the world. We would love to have you as well. Without further ado, thank you to all of the guests that have been here previously. I believe we've had 7 guests since we've started the show, the first of the year, 2025. And our guests keep coming and keep rolling in. They're so dynamic. And I'm so proud and so thankful that they take the time to come and rock with us here. And without further ado, this man is an educator. He is an activist. He is a public speaker. He is a community servant. He teaches Sunday school. He's so well spoken. When you see him, he always has an upbeat spirit and personality. I've never seen him angry or upset. I've seen him pondering and thinking, but I've never seen him upset or disturbed. Please welcome Mr. Arthur Dennis.
Thank you for that warm introduction. I mean, I feel the level of the answers just by that phrasing. So just thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for all that you do. Let's get started. You're in Chicago, but I believe you're originally from the Big Apple.
Yes. So I'm originally from New York, born in Brooklyn, 5:54 a.m. As a twin, though my brother, he was born 5:55. So
I love it. I love it. Twins born in the morning.
1 minute apart.
Morning. Yeah. Wow. And how did you make your way from New York, the Big Apple, okay, the city that never sleeps, to Chicago?
Well, you would probably know that I'm from New York because I never sleep.
You don't. You don't.
But I had a childhood filled with a lot of housing instability. So to tell you how I got from New York to Chicago, I'll have to tell you a bit of that childhood.
Okay.
So when it came to my childhood, like I said, I moved around a lot.
Mhm.
That created a lot of housing instability,
Yeah.
homelessness, where I lived in various parts of New York. I
Mhm.
lived in Georgia for a bit. We At one point I moved back to New York with my family, and we lived in a DVS shelter, and then just back and forth. But the part about Chicago is I went to school, Temple University
Come on,
in
Temple.
Philadelphia. Yep,
Yes.
and I studied education. And as I was getting ready to graduate, I had the choice of either being able to stay in Philly, go
Mhm.
to New York, or go to Chicago. And Chicago just called me, so Chicago was where I went.
I love it. And we want to take a moment to acknowledge and to embrace and to pray for our family, those who were on the plane, Philadelphia. Ashe. And Temple University. So up under my red, black, and green suit, I have on my HBCU unapologetically educated. You know what I'm saying? And I went to Bennett College for Women in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Russ College in Holly Springs, Mississippi. But yes, so I'm happy to learn about you coming from New York. And, you know, community, wow, it represents so many things to so many people. You were working in community in New York, although you were like displaced and dealing with some housing instability.
So I was a child more so in New York, so I wasn't per se working in community, but although I was of
Mm-hmm.
community. Like, for example, despite that time of in my childhood, one way that I was taken care of by community, like take the library, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think nowadays we are seeing libraries as less critical, but when I was a child, the library was where I was able to do my work in peace. And by work, I mean
Absolutely.
my homework after school. When I
Mm-hmm.
needed a safe space just to be in,
Yes.
that was the library for me.
Yes.
So yes, I wasn't doing work per se as I'm doing now in terms of
Mm-hmm.
organizing, but the community that helped to raise me and the community that helped to keep me safe
Mm-hmm.
was that New York community. And part of that was just the services like in the library.
I love it. You know, I'm happy you brought up the library because the library for me was a very safe space as well, and it was peaceful. And I'm proud to say that I know all of the libraries in Chicago because as a homeschooling advocate and mom, we spent a lot of time at libraries. And, you know, I was just speaking with a brother at Chicago State yesterday, Brother Panther, and we were talking about the encyclopedias. And he said he had so many encyclopedias. And the library also was a space where you could explore. And this
Yes.
is way before the
Yes.
internet. So the Dewey Decimal System, you know, the library took us, it traveled us. It let us see the world just by reading a book and by looking at what they had to offer on the computers there. So shout out to the library. I want to know, by you being in so many spaces today, who were those people that inspired you?
That's a great question. I think a few did. I'll start with the two teachers that
Mm-hmm.
did. Like I said, I had a lot of instability growing up, and it was really teachers in school that helped give me
Mm-hmm.
that sense of validation, that sense of safety, that sense of purpose and worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I became an educator myself. So the two I would say that were the most critical. My first was a teacher. Well, both are from New York, but one is from the city. Her name is Miss Ogabana, and I
Mm.
had her in eighth grade.
Oh,
So
nice.
when I went to school in Brooklyn, she and my teachers, they varied, but what was unique about Miss Ogbana, she was like a 5'5", 5'4"
Mm.
lady. Always wore African dress and said, "I am a queen." And you will address me as
Wow.
such. So even though, again, 5'4" black lady
Wow. Wow.
driving a BMW coming into work, and guess what subject she taught?
What?
You already know the subject.
History?
Yes.
Wow.
So
I love it.
she was just so impactful to me because you don't hear it now, and I appreciate you calling me a good public speaker, but I had a super bad stutter while growing up,
I can't tell.
and I
Wow.
mean super bad, mega bad,
I want to say
and
you're in here telling lies, but okay.
nope. and I just had to keep speaking to eventually be able to not stutter anymore. But
Nice.
when it came to her, and it was one of the first times I had to like do a public speaking assignment. I think as scholars and students, we can all recognize that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I'll never forget that she did for me And no, she was a phenomenal history teacher, but she told the class, Arthur, he has a stutter, so please be patient. Like,
Mhm.
she gave me the dignity in that moment to say, yes, you have this current disability, but your mind matters.
Yes.
And it is the worth of your words coming out, not just how they're coming out at the time.
Your mind matters.
Yes.
I love it. And so that was in what year? That was in the 90s.
No. No, that was early 2000s, early
so
mid
that wasn't
2000s.
that was high school.
No, it was middle school.
Middle school. Okay.
Yeah, I think I want to say 2000, maybe 6 or 7.
Okay. Mind matters.
Yes, your mind matters.
Interesting, because now we have all these slogans. That's what I'm getting at with everything that matters. Black lives matter. You know what I'm saying? The blue matters. The green matters. All these things matter. And it seems like she was above the curve to say your mind matters.
Right, because at the end of the day, like, what are we? We are not the colors we represent. We are the minds and the spirits that inhabit us. Our minds matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And shout out to your teacher. Say her name again.
Miss Ogabana.
Miss Ogabana. What a name. A queen, right?
A queen, and she always made sure to every single day tell us she is a queen. You will respect me and address me as such. Even though the school I went to, not all the teachers were able to have the best classroom management. But again, 5'4" lady, when she stepped into the room, you gave her that respect.
That's right.
And
she set the tone.
Right. And when she taught, you were there to listen. It didn't matter how you acted in another class. The minute she stepped in, it's her room now.
It's her time. That's right. I love it. How did you come into this space, working in community? Because you do a plethora of things.
So for me, it was really after I transitioned from teaching. I taught 5th and 6th grade reading in Alkel Gardens, which I absolutely love.
Shout out to the gardens.
Yes. And one thing I want to say, because oftentimes when I say where I taught at, I'll get a look or a face. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Each year, for example, Alkel Gardens, they do this Parade of the Gardens. It is so wonderful. It's a back to school parade where they name a king and a queen. And it's like a first grader and a kindergartner or a second grader. That's one of my most favorite memories of the gardens, because I think it's really easy for us to get stuck into narratives and not the reality of a neighborhood or a community. Like, what's in the gardens? They celebrate their children every single year right before school starts. Schools parade in that neighborhood, passing out school supplies, passing out candy.
If you want to, ice cream is so
right.
Nice.
If you want to make sure that you are aware of who your teachers are, who the new admin is. If you're a new student, you come out to that parade.
That's right.
That is the community that I taught in, right?
I love it. They also have added like haircuts, and they're doing braids now.
Yes.
They're getting children ready. They're getting them excited. You know what I mean? They have like clothing giveaways. They make sure the dental hygiene is up to par. Amazing. Yeah, I've been there. It's really nice.
Just phenomenal, right? But to answer your question about how I really entered the space of community and community organizing. So after I transitioned from teaching, I wanted to do something about what I would see as like either the safety issues or the things I would hear from the scholars in my classroom. Like each year I would do a Christmas party, and I wanted to teach emotional regulation and vulnerability. So I would share about what's the good times and bad times of the year before we enter into the brand new one. And I would always model my bad times, so those kids know it is okay to show your emotions. It is okay to express them, especially as a Black man. I think that so often our boys don't get the opportunity to see that. So I would always be sure to model that. And when I did model that, what ended up happening is the kids would then share their bad times, and it always came back to the exact same thing.
So you were vulnerable and transparent to get them to share as well.
Exactly.
To get to the healing and the resources.
Yes.
I love it.
So they would share things like, well, my cousin's in jail, my dad's in jail, mom, this one. And every single year, it was the same thing. It was the same narrative over and over again. So when I transitioned from teaching, and I made the realization that, like, for a lot of my students, they believe that the amount of money they made and their Blackness either told them that they're more or less likely to be in jail. And that's wrong. That's a form of incarceration. It is modern day slavery, in fact, right?
Absolutely.
So if I'm against that, if we're now in Black History Month, how do we confront not only slavery but racist structures? We
Absolutely.
organize. The only way Black people have ever advanced in this country beyond economic means, beyond the means of just being smarter, beyond the means of just going to school. It was coming together. It was saying all of our interests and our futures are tied. Because they are tied, we must organize.
We must organize. Kwame Nkrumah, that was his mantra. Organize, organize, organize.
Yes.
Whatever the question was. What are we going to do about reparations? Organize, organize, organize. What are you going to do about homelessness? Organize. What are you going to do about education?
Organize, organize,
What are you
organize.
going to do about our children? Organize, period.
And this is something that I just learned over time. So as I began to just organize early on, after I transitioned from teaching, it looked like, for example, trying to figure out how can, with one organization, the state do more to get more money for schools, the fair funding formula. I would say that the first time I really truly began to organize my own neighborhood, I would say was in 2022 with the Pretrial Fairness Act.
Okay.
Like this was a way to actually address the issues that I heard from my students. Because what this act said is, if you cannot pay bail, that is actually against what it means to be a free person, right?
Absolutely.
Bail just means you need to pay your way out of jail.
That's right.
You are not guilty. You are not innocent. And for America, we are innocent until proven guilty.
Really
Why?
guilty until proven innocent.
Guilty until proven wealthy, and innocent until proven poor.
Correct.
So because of that, I'm realizing that. So we have in Cook County Jail, even though Cook County is 1/3 Black, you had over 80% of the jail being Black, right?
That's right.
That is horribly, horribly inequitable. So I think about how can I help my scholars in a real way. I can start by organizing my neighborhood around this issue.
That's right.
And talking to neighbors about why we need to have this be a state law, because even though it is one solution, it's a solution that a student who may have lost a loved one now won't. It's a solution where a student that says, well, my poverty and my Blackness makes me more likely to be in this system. This is now a way for that to be dismantled.
That's right.
Because when it comes to organizing, especially when it comes to organizing against power, the best power to organize against is systemic power.
Systemic. Because you have so many different forms of racism. You know, you have the implicit racism. You have the environmental racism. There's so many levels to it. But I appreciate how you put that, because that encompasses all of it.
Exactly. So often, and this is really where my mind as a teacher comes in at. I think my great advantage in organizing now is because I have this teacher's mindset. I always think about in education, you think with the end in mind.
That's right.
When you are planning out a lesson, you're planning out a unit, you're planning out a long-term plan for a year.
It's result-driven.
Exactly. You're thinking about what process does scholars need to go through to get to the learning that they can achieve, right? So that same concept when it comes to being a community organizer. If we know that it is ultimately these huge systems that create the level of racism that we see day to day that folks don't even recognize because I'm just trying to live my life.
That's right.
Then we need to attack those systems itself. You know, there's a phrase that a friend of mine, his name's Warren Williams, that he once told me, and he said, "Be kind to people and be ruthless with systems." And so often we try to confuse the two, but no, our kindness is from people. We are affected by the systems and the harms that they do that we don't even recognize. Yet we want to give grace to a non-person, a system that is causing actual harm.
Because actually, I like that too. And shout out to Warren, because sometimes people are acting out of survival. They're acting out of the need to understand.
Yes.
They're acting out of, being displaced and being treated unfairly, you know. So it's not necessarily the person, but it's the actions that people take on because of the systems that are in place that are holding them down.
I once had a student, right, and an educator, even though I'm no longer in the classroom as I used to be. I have a great job now to help others in the community, be in the
Yes,
classroom, which
yes.
we love to talk about because I just love this job.
Yes, yes. I can't
Um,
wait.
but to that point, when I think about my students and we talk about trauma informed instruction, what that
Mhm.
is saying that your child, your learner that comes to you, if they're presenting with behaviors that are outside the norm of how we think a student would operate, you don't just say this is a bad student,
Right. No,
this is someone that can't learn.
that's right.
What we wonder, what we lead with curiosity with is, I wonder what happened and how can we now be a solution for
That's
that
right.
child's
That's right.
healing. Like I had so many students who had either who had either who either had educational trauma, so
Mhm.
they never had a consistent teacher before me. What did that result in? They needed more time to learn.
Mhm.
Here's how you read and write critically, and here's the chances for you to learn that. Here's how you're able to be in a classroom space.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
not saying that this is a good or bad student, but it is to say that they were in a system that didn't give them the opportunity to be their
Yes.
best self.
And to that point, may I?
Yeah.
I want to say that I used to be an IEP specialist.
Really?
Yeah, and what I learned is every child needs an individualized education plan. I don't think that it should be just this child, oh, Johnny over there is acting up, he has behavior, IEP, or this person is not at grade level, IEP. Every child learns differently and unique in their way, and every child deserves a plan for their success in
Yes.
education.
Yes. Exactly that. And that's the best way to teach, as well as understanding that students are people, right? And full stop. Students are people. I think sometimes
Yeah,
think about
that's good.
we think about kids or children not in the sense that they are a person too. They have feelings, they
That's
have
right.
rights.
That's
They
right.
respond to situations. I would have students who would come to school hungry. Am I going to be upset because they're less likely to do their work if they're hungry? If I am hungry,
You're gonna
I'm
act
not gonna
different. That's
I'm
right.
not gonna do my work.
That's
If
right. You
I
can't
am
think
hungry,
straight. You're
right.
hungry.
So I would make sure to have, for example, like snacks in my classroom and
Yes.
just say, hey, like eat this outside real quickly.
That's right.
When you come
That's
back
right.
in, do your
Meeting the
work.
needs of the student.
Right.
I want to get into what you do now.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry. I really like teaching it.
What exactly is it that you do when you wake up every day?
A lot. So I'm gonna go. So let me go through my various jobs. One person I spoke to before said, as organizers, we always wear multiple hats, but so
Mhm.
do teachers, right?
That's true.
So,
Teachers are the mama, sometimes the grandma, the nurse, the nanny. Teachers are the nurturers, the teachers. Then you get to the work, but the teachers are first the point of contact to give energy and show love to their students.
exactly, it's being rooted in community.
Mm-hmm.
So first, I would say what I do is just be rooted in community. That's what I
Nice.
do. And how I express that is through the various things I do. So,
Yes.
for example, when I wake up, what do? I go to work. I currently work for CPS for a program called Teach Chicago Tomorrow. What that does is it helps high school seniors who want to be teachers to become teachers, right?
Mm.
And when they study education at a four-year university,
Mm-hmm.
they can get support from the school district so they could become a CPS teacher in 4 to
Nice.
6 years. It's the idea of it is you are the solution to the
Yes.
challenges. You have
Yes.
been in these schools, you see the issues.
Mm-hmm.
Either you had that teacher that helped you become who you are, right?
Yes.
Like for me, a part of that story is Miss Ogbana, right?
Yes.
For me. Or maybe you didn't have that teacher and you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, actually, I can be the solution.
Yes.
So when I helped to lead this program now, and one thing I did again for Black History Month, I just want to name it,
Yeah.
is that like I was able to get more Black kids in the program when before there was an underrepresentation.
Wow. Wow.
And the reason why I did that is one, we as Black people,
Mm-hmm.
we're a part of the community too.
Yes.
We just are.
Yes,
So
we are.
we need to
Period.
be seen in that light as well.
Absolutely.
And we want to be the teachers, we want to be the leaders in our own communities as well.
Absolutely. Research shows that when we're in the classroom with our children, they learn better.
Oh
They
yeah.
feel secure. They feel safe. You know, It just makes sense.
Oh yeah, like I started my own podcast too recently about the
Yo,
yep, T Chicago Tomorrow
I
podcast.
love
It
it.
will
I
be
love it.
live later this month.
Wonderful. That was my next question. What
But
else are you doing in the community?
yes. So what else I do? So I do a lot of organizing, like I mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
So I bring folks together around how could we learn more about our civics. When I think about the election we just had, or elections
Mhm.
that we've had in the past, we talk about issues like low voter engagement or low
Yeah.
voter turnout.
Yeah.
And again, I think about this from a teacher's point of view. So I'm not going to leave it at, well, people don't care or they can't learn. I'm going to
Mhm.
think about what's the gap, right?
Yeah. What's the solution? How do we
Yes,
get to it? Where is the lack of motivation coming from? Where is it that they're not being educated to understand the need that they may want to be more involved?
exactly.
We worked together for some time, and the thing that is most intriguing for me about you is, okay, two things: bring Chicago home and the
Hmm.
People's Lobby.
Yes.
I mean, when they say all the way turned up, you were all the way turned up. And three things: when you did the event at Push,
Oh, yes.
they are still talking about that event. And thank you for allowing me to be a host.
Well, I mean, it's about honor, right?
Man.
Like what your father did, right?
Mhm.
When it came to push, like you are that legacy. Like you stood on those shoulders to be who
Mhm.
you are. And I think as Black people in general, again, Black History Month,
Black History Month.
I gotta say it, like it is in our blood, it is in our
Yeah.
nation, it is our ancestors that cry out, that say,
Mhm.
we are the shoulders that you stand on, and you are the shoulders that someone else stands on too.
Yes.
So you had to be the one to introduce even that push, because I wouldn't be there if not for you. That
Mhm.
deserves honor and recognition.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
But to the point of the various town halls I've done last year. So last year I ran a few town halls. The two biggest ones being the one for Bring Chicago Home in March,
Mhm.
and one I did for fair elections after the election.
Fair elections. Yes.
Which, wild how things turned out, but God's always on time. We'll leave it at that.
Always. Always. And you have done so much. Can you tell those who don't know quickly about the People's Lobby?
Yeah.
Because that's an amazing organization.
Yeah, so the People's Lobby, they are an organization. They're what is called a power building organization that works on helping people like myself be trained on how
Mhm.
to community organize and do it in a way that shows how can we be anti-racist, anti-classist, anti-homophobic, anti-sexist. Basically, the idea that if we are the solution, how are we coming together, all of us, and building power to organize,
And it's so beautiful.
organize.
I mean, you go in the room for any People's Lobby event, and it is about 30 languages spoken in the room. It's so multi-ethnic, so multi-diverse. It's just an amazing group of people who are all about community.
Yes, and what I want to say is, and I want to shout out the executive director, Will Tansman,
Yes.
a white guy, incredible,
Yes.
incredible. What I want to share is that when I first joined the People's Lobby 2 years ago, and I'm still just volunteering with them now as a volunteer
Mhm.
leader at this point, um, I had just recently really kind of like really walked away from another organizing group. I won't name them, but I noticed that they had tokenized Black people, and after I kind of yelled at them over Zoom, I said, I'm done with y'all. What I love about the People's Lobby, and especially about Will Tanfin, the executive director, is that when I would tell him this story, and even when I first joined the People's Lobby, like the rooms you've seen have been multiracial,
Oh, yes. Bring Chicago home
diverse,
was
all
like,
of that.
yeah.
But when I first joined the People's Lobby, their rooms did not look that way. I was oftentimes one of the only or few Black people in that space, right?
Wow.
But but this is why I really appreciate not only Will Tansman but also the organization. Is I would name, hey, here's the tokenism I saw.
Yeah.
Here's the issues I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And part of what I learned with the People's Lobby is how do we organize with power, right? The
Mhm.
best way that you organize with power is you negotiate.
Yes.
Because when you negotiate, what you're saying is we
Mhm.
both have a power dynamic here.
Yeah.
Let's figure out a way that this works for all of us.
Because
So
we want the same things.
exactly.
So let's make it make sense.
So unlike and I'll say this last part
Mhm.
quickly. So unlike that organization that wanted to tokenize Black people, that means that they weren't really willing to negotiate with us, talk with us, like actually consider what we want. And with the People's Lobby, and I would give them a lot of like they would agitate me, I would agitate them back. But the idea is
it was good agitation
right.
to get to the goal.
Yes.
How can people find you?
On Instagram, you can find me on Instagram. I am Artisansei, ARTISANSEI. It means life of the builder or life of the creator. And if you follow me, you can see more of what we're doing this month. For example, not only am I going to have my next community conversation, which is something I do once a month. It's going to be called the Let's Counter Project 2025. It'll be virtual. And so if you sign up on Instagram, you'll see more.
Shout out to Peyton. You did One and Truth Restaurant before.
Yes, we
did. We are coming to a close, but I want you to share more about where they can get in tune with you with the community conversations too.
Yes. So you can look on my Instagram. There will be information about it later this month. And in that community conversation, we're going to figure out how can we be intentional about organizing. We are seeing what is happening on the national level. We're seeing what's happening here. We cannot rest because our ancestors, our forefathers did not rest, right?
That's right. And our ancestors are dependent on us. Listen, please check out the After Hours Ron Rilla networking event, February the 15th. Enter the city after hours. We also have the Petals in Progress by Jessa this Sunday at the Willis Tower, February 2nd. Purchase tickets at sunflowercabana.com. All this information you can also see on the Chicago Community Activism Podcast page. And I want to say a special thank you to our sponsors. Of course, Brian Gorman, Diverse City, Bronzeville Podcast Studios, Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Museum, Trek Foundation, that's TRECC. Please look them up. And please, our previous guests, those that have been rocking with us from the beginning, those that support us, reach out to us to be a guest. Thank you so much, Arthur Dennis.
Thank you so much.
And all
Afrika,
that you bring
sister.
to the community.
It's what we bring, because at the end of the day, we are all the community. That's why we organize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm looking for someone to give about me. I'm searching. I'm looking for someone to give about you. I'm searching. I'm looking for someone to give about me. I'm searching. It's from the love that's in me. I love the love. I am so grateful for the enemy, but yet they still attack me with the envy. They're trying to clog my drain, leave me empty. They say I'm